Hello, and welcome back to Spiritually Connected with Tanya Lee. I'm your host, Tanya Lee. Man, today, love this. We have the fabulous Lindsay Marino on. Lindsay is an international psychic medium, podcast host. I might have to go on hers, maybe. I'm just kidding. And co author of the amazing bestseller, 365 Days of Angel Prayers. Ooh, I think I need to get that. Lindsay helps psychic mediums all around the world deepen their gifts and grow their business through her online programs. Lindsay earns her psychic medium. Let me try that again. Lindsay earned her psychic mediumship certificate through Lisa Williams International School of Development and has developed extensive mediumship with world-renowned medium Mavis Patella. Ooh, I love Mavis. She's also holds a master's in education from the University of Tampa. You guys, she's a kid, like a young grade school teacher. That's amazing. Lindsay has been interviewed on Low Country Live Television, OMT. Lindsay has been interviewed on Low Country Live Television, OM Times Radio, Sedona Talk Radio, Soul Love, and Evolving Soul. She currently resides in Tampa, Florida, and loves to travel back home to Boston and St. Louis. Woohoo! Please welcome the beautiful Lindsay Marino.
Hello, Tanya. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on. You have such great energy. It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to talk with you today.
You. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. We've got like a grade school teacher. I got to talk about your book. So let's just get right into it. Love it. That's awesome. So let's find out, how did you become psychic? Did you always know?
It's interesting. I didn't know about the psychic awareness really until till 2007. And for me, when it came to the really being aware, I started to look at the little breadcrumbs along the way throughout my life later, but it wasn't until I had lost my boyfriend at the time. His name's Nick. And I started to connect in with him and really wanted to make sure that he was okay. And from there, I was having these spiritual experiences with mediumship. And I started to recognize that I was following my intuition and getting psychic information. I just didn't know it. I thought it was just giving guidance to friends or, you know, having different dreams that I wasn't connecting to that psychic awareness. But I believe we all have it. It's just tuning into it at that right time.
Love that. I am sorry that you did lose Nick. And I know it was a heart-wrenching story. You guys have had quite the love story. So I love that. He still gives you signs.
Right. My husband, Tony, and him were childhood friends,
Mm.
and we met after Nick passed, and he still comes through to both of us along with all of our other past loved ones because we keep them a part of our life because they never truly die. They're always around us. So I think it's so beautiful to pass that message on to people to know that this isn't it. You know, once we leave the physical body, we are still available to speak with too.
And I think that's really important to stress that they're not gone. Um they're still here. They're still giving us signs. They're all around us. I love that you said.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Oh man. What are some things, so if somebody was listening to this right now, what are some things that because you're a teacher as well. You have mentees
Yes.
too. Yeah, just like me. I love
Yes,
that.
I love teaching.
Me
I
too.
love teaching.
Uh, by the way, you guys, she was a okay, so you're in the States, I'm in Canada, so we would just
Yeah.
call it elementary school for us, but you guys call it grade school, right? I want to be clear.
I actually call it elementary school too. I
Okay.
think there's like a different generation sometimes that calls it grade school. I've heard, but normally it's elementary school. So I was a third grade teacher for 7 years. So it's a big change, but then there's some similarities with teaching third graders and then teaching adults mediumship, business, intuition. So my little third graders actually prepared me for the work that I do now.
I completely believe that. I truly do. I love that. Okay, so how does one go from teaching third grade for 7 years to teaching mediumship? How do you go?
Right. Yeah, that I know I didn't plan that. I thought I was going to retire as a teacher definitely. So For me, I think everything shifted, and I know everything shifted in 2007. That was actually my first year teaching, um, and when Nick passed away, it was the 2nd day of teaching. Now, during that time, I was excited to be there with the kids. The children were like my little angels during that time. They were giving me messages and receiving messages from Nick without even knowing it was happening. It was coming through drawings and stories and things that they were coming up to my desk to share with me. And I knew that. And what happened during that time, and I know a lot of the listeners would experience this most likely if you've lost anyone, there's a part of your heart that it does crack open and there's a part that goes missing, but then there's light that's let in too. And that's the best way to describe it as what took place was I started to be extra sensitive because I wanted to connect in with him. And that whole experience really changed things for me. And I started to just follow those breadcrumbs and connecting with him. And I noticed the healing that was taking place with me. And I thought, okay, I'm going to say a prayer that I can help other people know that life doesn't end here. And that's how it evolved for me. And I
Mm.
just started to give free readings to people because I was just opening up. And then people were sending me, I had friends that would send me their friends or family, and it just got very busy, and then that's when I decided, "Okay, I can't do both, I need to choose," and my heart was guiding me out of the school system to do this work and give readings, and then people were coming to me and saying, "Do you mentor?" And it just evolved from there.
I love that. I love that. I think that's
Yes.
for a lot of us, that's a natural progression, with regard to that. Like, not everybody's a born teacher, and
Right.
you know, but for you, it was just so natural. So
Yeah.
for somebody else that wants to um, get into it with you. Okay, so Lindsay, if you're a teacher, so what could someone do to enhance their psychic ability, their mediumship? What could they do? What's just something they
Yeah. Okay, so this is a common question that comes up for me, and my answer is normally the same. And it's always to grab a journal or a notebook and start logging when you're having those experiences. So if you wake up in the morning and you hear a song in your head and you're like, that's weird. Why is that coming up? I know it's something intuitively for me, or I feel like it's from my past loved one. It could be foreshadowing for the rest of the day, like a foreshadowing event, and a little clue that you needed for the end of your day or maybe during that week. So I always say to put the date down, put how it came to you. So did it come in a vision? Did you hear it? Did you feel it? And then shut the notebook and don't stay attached to the meaning at that moment, but come back to it. And when it's validated, you can go back in your notebook and write that experience. But that imprinting, that moment of getting that confirmation for yourself at the beginning, you do need that confidence because you'll start feeling like you're making it up because it feels like your imagination.
and
So,
that's how it gets started, right? It does feel like the
yes.
imagination, and that's you know what, that was pivotal for me when I was going through like, I was having so you and I have a tie. You and I have so many parallels, but you and I have a tie. Both of our grandmothers, are both we're strongly psychic, and so I
Yeah,
love that. I read that about you. Um, how do you like neither one of us knew growing up, and mine is happened when my grandma passed because she was close to me, but yours happened when Nick passed. Um, how do you manage that? Like, how do you negotiate with spirit, so to speak? You know,
right.
like turn it on, turn it off, or what does that look like for you?
Okay. So at the beginning, I didn't realize it until later. Until I started to, I think really still when I was teaching or when I was doing the paid readings that I started to connect the dots. But at the beginning, I wanted to be bothered. Really thinking back, I think I wanted to be bothered and tested and shown that they were around. So I'd be in the grocery store standing behind someone and I'd feel something about them, because I was open. Like I really felt like I was so open where I wanted the experience because I wasn't fully confident in it. I needed that validation for myself. But now it's so easy, just the intention of, okay, I'm on during readings. And then when I'm living my life, I am doing my thing. I'm living a human life, but I'm also staying open for messages for me to spot. If I go outside and take a walk, um, and I see an arrow on the ground with branches, and then it points to I am here. That's actually what happened to me with chalk. I know at that moment, okay, this is a message. Like I'm going to be open to receive that, but I'm not going to go up to people and start giving readings because ethically, I don't believe in that to tap into someone's energy. But it really is a conscious effort to say, okay, this is when I'm spending my time to do the readings. And I think that's so powerful. Like when I'm teaching too, is at the very beginning of mediumship or intuition development, people may feel as though they need to go and give messages and they're always open and they're bothered. But in actuality, when we are making time to practice, those experiences aren't going to be nagging at us because we're using our energy during practice time rather than being open all day and not living the human life that we're meant to live.
I love how you say so I feel the same way. I always feel the same way. I feel the
Yeah.
same so I when I first started teaching people, I I said, "Stay open to the process, stay open to, signs and symbols." And then I had, one of my first students, she went and started reading people, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. That to me is not ethical. This is not
Right.
a TV show." So let me be very clear about those TV shows, 'cause I've taped a couple of them with
Yeah.
a couple of people, and they're scripted. They're heavily scripted. We have to get permission from people. So I love
Right.
that you said that, and I don't go up to people. So we have one of the biggest malls in the world here in Edmonton, and West Edmonton Mall, and, uh, we joke about going there. You only as a local, you only go there because you have to. But the couple of times I've had to go there 'cause that's only one store is there, I've had people come in, like spirit come through and going, "Hey, can you read for, my cousin's uncle's brother?" And my theory is, do you know what? Honestly, spirit is smart, spirit is highly intelligent, and I'll just simply
Yeah.
say, "You want me to read for them? Have them come to me, and they'll
Right.
figure out how to make it happen." So please don't go out there and I get that it's exciting when you first start, right? Like
Yeah.
it's so exciting and you wanna like, "Hey, is this true? Hey, is this true?" And validation is big because it feels like our imagination, but then it's turning real.
Right.
Just read for your friends and family or do it in a practice session like you said.
Yes. I love that, and it's so true that spirit is intelligent and they do find a way to get to you. Because they'll put people in your path, mediums in your path or whoever it is, and they'll nudge you through a friend or a friend of a friend, and it will come up over and over again until you do, what they're trying to make you see.
Mm,
So it is true.
yep, 100%. If you have the same name come up over and over and over again, call that person. They may need
Right.
some help. You don't have to tell them why.
Exactly.
Thinking about them. I love that. So,
Yes.
I wanna, dive in a little bit. You grew up Catholic, not that you're not now, but
Yes.
you grew up Catholic. How did that how does that work for you? Um, okay, I'm just gonna let you tell the story because
Yeah.
you have a great story to tell about being Catholic and religious or growing up that way. Go ahead, go ahead.
So I grew up Catholic, and for me, ever since I went to CCD, I was obsessed with the Blessed Mother, the saints, and I love stories of the guardian angels. And I would sit in my room and just read books on miracles, and that's just what I like to do. I even used to like to say the rosary regularly too, and I wanted to be like Saint Catherine of Siena. She used to pray on each step and say the Hail Mary. I had to do a report for her on her for CCD. And I was just fascinated by stories of miracles and spirituality. It's not like my mom or dad forced me to do these things. I genuinely wanted to. Um, but I put pressure on myself to think certain things were a sin. So I always thought that it was a sin to go to a psychic. I didn't know what a medium was. Um, I always wanted to be more like the saints, and that's just what it was for me. But over time, when Nick passed away, I didn't care about what was a sin and what wasn't. Like, that wasn't even in my mindset. I just wanted to make sure that he was okay, and I wanted to talk to him. So once I noticed that it was healing, I started to hear and experience all these things that reminded me that we don't need to stress about anything that makes us feel guilty or think it's bad for healing that's taking place. So I have a lot of clients that come to me that are Catholic, and they'll say, I was afraid to get a reading, but I know that you're Catholic too. And I think it's interesting because I used to separate the Blessed Mother and mediumship. I always kept them separate. And talking with another medium friend, we started chatting about it. And really, the Blessed Mother is very involved in the work that I do. And even it's interesting, Jesus has showed up in a reading. And I feel like I'm more connected to the blessed, talking about the Blessed Mother, but Jesus has come up in readings. And, I can share one experience that popped up. It was more in the background while I was giving a reading, connecting with a client. Her mother was coming through, and I saw Jesus in the background, and she said, "This is so interesting. My sister told me before I came to get the reading, she was against this because, you need to pray to God and Jesus, and that's why she's not coming." So it kind of went along with the reading that Jesus came through to confirm, wait, I'm a part of this. It's a beautiful, loving experience. So I'm not about convincing people. I feel as though if someone tried to convince me in a different situation, if it was like 20 years ago, I would push them away even more.
Mhm.
So I feel like people need to do what they feel guided to do, and everyone has, a process to their life. So they need to go with what's best for them.
I love that. Absolutely love it. And I love your take on it because I think that there is a lot of fear with and separation with regard to us and religion. And
Right.
I don't think that there needs to be. I think it's
Yeah.
all in one. I
Yeah.
talk on a different show. I talk about an experience I had with a client. So you'll have to catch that on episode 10 that comes in.
Okay.
um,
Yes.
and I told you about it before the show.
I know. I was just thinking about that. Yeah. I can't wait to listen to that episode too.
What is it that you're working on now? What gets you up in the morning?
So much. I feel like so many things wake me up in the morning. I've really been feeling like this year has been so different because of everything going on in the world. So I thought I was grateful before, but I feel really grateful for the people in my life because I feel like everything's becoming very clear. Like very, very clear, even if you thought it was clear before, but very clear where the focus is really fine tuned on what we want out of our life right now.
Mhm.
Now, for me, what I'm currently working on is really focusing on my mediums and my mediumship membership group. That's my big focus. And then I have a business mastermind coming up with my husband, Tony. And this is the second round of the mastermind. So that starts up in January, which we're really excited about. Um, but always just really connecting in with people that want to fine tune their abilities with mediumship. So it's a big thing that, this work, it's you go off of intuition too, because sometimes there's moments where you think you're going to do one thing and it shifts because there's messages, channeled messages coming forward and saying, nope, you are going to tweak this. And this is when this section's going to come in. So I think listening to that is so important. But the big thing is we're starting the new year. And I find that a lot of people are wanting to kind of be held accountable when it comes to this work. And that's where I love doing the mastermind too.
I love that. Masterminds
Yes.
definitely are where it's at.
Yes.
So you brought up your husband, Tony, happily married.
Yes.
How does
Yes.
he feel about you being psychic?
Actually, he is too. Um,
Love
he is
that.
psychic too, which I know we're all psychic, but he really tunes into it. Very psychic, very aware. And when we first met, we bonded over the law of attraction, spirituality. He had been doing all of that work before we met. So when we came together, that's where we bonded over the talk of spirituality. Now, when it came to past loved ones, he was open to it, definitely, but it wasn't until we started to talk about the signs that were showing up. So he would started to spot signs like hearts and smiley faces, just like me, and we started to connect the dots. So he is very psychic, very aware. Sometimes I'm like, okay, like you are more of a feeler than me, and I can kind of shut that feeling down at certain points. So he's open, and it makes it interesting and fun. So that's all we talk about is that awareness, which is good.
It's very good. It's very supportive, very supportive.
Right.
My fiance is
But
the same way, so yeah, I love it.
oh, is he? Okay, that's really good. But sometimes, we'll be doing a podcast episode before we start. He'll say, "What? What's wrong?" I'm like, "Stop sensing when something's wrong. I don't want you to tune into me right now. I'm trying to stay focused." So we can tune into each other when sometimes you just want to like close off and not say anything. You just want to be in the moment. So it's kind of interesting how that can come up, when it comes to relationships. You're so connected to people, so you know exactly, if something's going on. Which is good because we communicate all the time, but when you want to get something done, you're like, okay, let's just do this.
Exactly.
So,
So did he call you in and you called him in? Law of attraction.
well,
Where did that
actually, that's a good question because I haven't shared the story in a while, but I didn't want a relationship. He didn't want a relationship at all. Neither one of us did. We were focused on ourselves.
Mhm.
And before we met, he had been playing a song on his keyboard, his like little piano, and he kept on playing the same song and singing the song. And then we met. I don't know how many months before. I'll have to ask him to get that confirmed, but it was either months or like that year. And it was connected to bringing, like, I don't know the exact words because I forget. It's like, come back to me or something like that. But the song felt so familiar to me when he played it and it connected. So
Mm.
our souls knew we were going to meet. And he always said, I know that I'm going to be down south. But it wasn't like he was like trying to manifest a girlfriend. He actually really just wanted to focus on himself. But he has a lot of stuff come through channeled information through his music too.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So
Love that.
yeah, it was just like we were just having fun. I was having rough moments with Nick passing away, but at the
Mm.
same time, I was really living in the moment and doing the things that I wanted to do because I knew that, I've already lost everything. I might as well live it up now. And that's where I was at. I was going to the spiritual seminars, I was doing the road trips, skydiving, those types of things to think, okay, I need to keep on living and this is how I'm going to have to do it to make this list and to do these things before reaching heaven. And it was actually a good thing for me because it gave me something to do, but it also brought in so much for me because I was focused on living in that moment.
Mm.
So, and
Beautiful.
that's what brought us together.
I love that. I had to ask because
Yes.
I called in mine and he called me in and
Oh, that's
I knew it.
beautiful.
Like,
You just knew.
yeah, instantly. Yeah. And I tried to deny
So
it too. So
special.
I love that. It is. It is.
Yes.
Love
Yeah,
that.
that instant connection. It's like
Mhm.
undeniable once it happens. You just know.
Yeah. And I'm a skeptic by nature. So I'm like, no, this can't be true. This can't be true. This can't.
Right.
I had to go home and sleep on it. I'm like, no, no, no. Okay. But I couldn't stop thinking about him. I'm like, okay, we
You
might just,
know.
yeah, you just know.
Yes.
No, no, I love it. All right. So
Beautiful.
do you have a favorite client? And go ahead.
It's funny. Okay, because I've had so many different clients that I've loved working with. I don't have one favorite client, but what I love, the theme around my clients is when they're open. So I have a lot of psychic mediums actually get the readings from me. So I'll give them their readings and they come to me. So that's like a common thing that comes up. And I like that because they're open, one for one, they're aware. So they know, they'll feel that energy when something comes through. And if it's not a psychic medium that comes to me for a reading for psychic or mediumship, I just like to work with people that are open and having those aha moments and sharing that. Maybe that's my ego, but I do like to hear later when they come back and say, "Hey, this was mentioned," and I don't remember the readings a lot of the time, but this was mentioned, and I just want to let you know this did happen. Because sometimes as psychics and mediums, having that extra confirmation later, it's nice to know, "Oh, okay, that's beautiful. That worked out for them or that came up." So one sticks out in my mind because she came to me, I don't know how many months ago. She came back and her mom came through, and shared that she wanted her to take a DNA test. Like there was something important. Well, the client came back and shared that she did take the DNA test, and she found out she had a sister. And this sister she got to meet before she died. So I think she met up with her maybe 2 months before she passed, and they had other siblings. And that story to me, I forgot. Like I really did forget that reading until she brought it up. I'm like, I actually vaguely remember that. And her sharing it with me brought it opened my heart, but it also helps me too when I do future readings. When that same type of situation comes up, it's imprinted in me. So I think the clients that actually share and open up later, I like that. Like I really do. I like that experience because it's very healing for me to hear too.
I think that's amazing. I got chills when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
It's like, I love truth bumps. I love
Yes.
that. Love
I
that.
know, like, the spirit world is amazing, and I'm just a vessel for it, but at the same time, I'm human, just like every other psychic medium listening, and it's nice to know, like, "Oh, okay, this is another experience that we know that life is beyond what we could even see as humans." That's not something that you'd get as a human saying, "Oh, go take a DNA test." But the spirit realm knows, so it's beautiful. So I like experiences like that.
Me too. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
That's
and I
so
said DNA test. I don't think that's the right way of saying it. It was more of the genetics,
I understood what you
whatever that's called,
yeah,
whatever that's called. That's what
it's
the mother said.
like an ancestry test,
That's what
right?
it was. She said to go do that, and it was like there was something she was gonna figure out, like a family member that she was connecting with, and
That's
that's what happened.
incredible. Oh my god. Oh
Yes.
my god, I love that. That's amazing.
Right.
So and it goes part and parcel what you're talking about, so Lindsay, how can people get a hold of you? Like, how can they schedule a reading? What does that look like for you?
Yes. So they can go to lindsaymarino.com to book a reading right on my website. And then if they want to connect with me on Instagram or Facebook, there's times where I go live and give information that way. But the best way is to really go on my website first and get on my newsletter and then connect on social media too.
Love that. We'll have all your details below as well. There's so much more I want to talk about. I love your energy. I mean,
Thank you.
I checked you out and we're both the same life path. We're both number I love
Oh, really?
we're both number 5s. So that was fabulous. Learned that about you and so
I
much more.
love it.
Yeah, there's so much more. Are you willing to come back on the show, a couple months and give us an update?
Definitely. I would love to. I love talking to you and it goes by so quick. So I would love to come back.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. All right. Um, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you, Tanya.